Today we are in the garden and I want to show you how I use OneNote on my iPad with my Apple Pencil to help me keep track of some of the things that are going on here in the garden. If this sounds interesting to you and you'd like to learn some ways to use OneNote on the move, then stay with me. Well, hi everyone, this is Crystal from A Crystal Clear Life, where we focus on planning, organizing, and living a more simplified life. And today I am coming to you from my garden, my new West garden, which you'll see here in just a little bit. And because we are filming outside today, you know, we have background noises to deal with, we have sunlight to deal with, and we have sounds of nature to deal with. I've already had the turkeys, the wild turkeys, go through the woods behind me, making their sounds. So if you hear something that's a little unusual on some of my videos, I apologize, but you know, that's just what happens when you come outside. Anyway, let's get started with today's video. Well, as I have said in the past, I do live in the woods, as you can see behind me. I have trees everywhere, and we just carved out a small area to build our house many years ago. And today I want to talk to you about a new garden that's going in on the west side of the house. You can see behind me, I do not have a very large yard space because we like to keep our landscaping as natural as possible. But we are going to add a few more flowering shrubs just to put some color on this side of the yard. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I am outside, so there's going to be changes in light and changes in sound. I apologize for that, but you know, when you're dealing with nature, there's not a lot that you can do about it, okay? All right, so what I want to show you today is I want to show you how I use my iPad when I am out and about like this in the yard. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go back to my garden journal that I started in OneNote many years ago. I have a video that I did where I show all about creating that garden journal. I will link that up above and in the description box below if you would like to check out my garden journal video. That one really features the front garden, and it's kind of interesting because this video really is taking that front garden and spreading it around to the west side of the house, sharing some of those same plants over here that I think are so beautiful and have done so well, and hopefully they will do well over here as well, okay? All right, so as you can see beside me here, we have a new Japanese maple. It is a blood-good Japanese maple that we have planted right here on the edge of the house. You know, it's about 20 feet away from the house or 10 feet away from the house. So I think it will be fine. They tend to be very small trees. We have another one on this side. You know, it kind of creates a gateway or an arch into this side of the yard, which I think is really nice. Another plant that we love are viburnum. We have a couple of varieties of viburnum throughout the yard already, which I will show you a few of those. And I just think they're spectacular. I wanted to add some sterile Chinese snowball viburnums on this side just for some of that really nice big white pom-pom kind of flowers that come in the springtime. We cannot really grow hydrangeas here because the deer eat them as soon as you plant them. But the viburnum, they tend to leave alone. So that is my plant of choice for this side of the garden, okay? We also have a couple of American beautyberry bushes that were garden volunteers. You know, I think some birds came to the feeder and left me a present of some seeds from these beauty bushes, and they have grown up over the past few years, and we've just relocated them again away from the house out more into the garden. They have beautiful purple berries in the wintertime, and the birds just love them. So again, we try to cater to the nature that we have around us, and so by planting these berry bushes out here in the yard, I think that'll be great, okay? Well, this is not a gardening channel, and I'm not going to ramble on anymore about the beautiful plants that we've bought here. What I want to do is I want to show you how I use OneNote to track that stuff. So I have a screen capture on my OneNote so you can see what I'm actually doing on my iPad, because I know that even if you just look over my shoulder, you can't really see. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that screen capture on and we can take a look at what we're doing here. I'm going to open up OneNote and I am going to look in my landscape planner that I have here. Let's see, what I want to show you is the front garden section that I have. You guys have seen this before if you've watched my other garden journal. What I have here is I have a list of plants, what their specifications are, what particular variety they might be, and all of that, when they were planted and that kind of thing. And then down below I have a sketch or a drawing of what the garden design looks like, and then I like to add photographs of what the garden looks like also. As you can see here, okay? So what I want to do is I want to really recreate this kind of page for the West Garden. All right, so what I need to do is I need to set up a brand new section for the West Garden, because before, the West Garden was really just the area right here along the house. It just had daffodils and irises and things like that in it. There wasn't really a lot for me to keep track of. So I need to set up a new section, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here, back to the notebook, and we are going to add a section right here, and we are going to call that section the West Garden. Okay, and now we have our West Garden and it has our first untitled page. Well, I want to make a copy of that page that I showed you from the front garden with the plant list and all of that, rather than recreate that table. It's just a table that I set up years ago. So I want to go back to that page, this front garden page here, and I want to make a copy of it. So I'm going to long hold it. It's going to come up and let me choose to make a copy. Okay. And then I can take that to the West Garden, and it will make a copy of that complete page, okay? For me, that's a lot easier than recreating the entire table, setting up the grid page, and all of that. By the way, did you know that you can do grid pages in OneNote? It's under Page View. It's really helpful, okay? All right, let's go back to the West Garden now, and you can see the plant list from the front porch garden page was copied there. Let's go ahead and change that to the West Garden. I'm going to hit and bring up our keyboard, and we will delete front porch garden. And again, I am doing all of this with my original Apple Pencil, and my iPad is an iPad, I think 7. It's an older one. It is not the newest, fanciest. It's not an iPad Pro or Air or anything like that. Okay, and we're going to call this the West Garden. And then what I want to do here is I am going to select the things that are in this table, and I am going to delete those. So let's do this, not the whole table. Let me make it smaller so that I can see everything. And we're going to select all, and we're going to take this whole table like that, and we are going to delete that. Okay, so we'll cut that out. And now we just have our plant list, numbers there, and a place for me to put the information from the new plants, like this tag that I have going into this garden. Okay, I can leave my little diagram here about what sun and part sun looks like. I like that. There is an extra squiggle down here that we need to erase. There's that great grid paper, which I love. And then we have, this is my old diagram of the front porch. Again, I am not an artist. I'm not a landscape architect. I am not a gardening professional at all. I just want to keep track of my garden, okay? So in this space, what I am going to do is I'm going to use the stroke eraser, and I am just going to erase all of this information, because what I'm going to do is I am going to sit here and draw it in for the shape of this garden, okay? All right, so let's get rid of all of that. And you see here that there are some typed things on the screen. Those are little plant numbers. So we need to get rid of those. Go back to my select tool. And then I can get rid of that. And the number 12, get rid of that. And the number 11, get rid of that. Okay. All right. And then also down here at the bottom, I have some photos that I took of the front garden. But because we are now moving to the west, again, I need to delete these. So I simply touch on them. That highlights them. And then I can delete them. Okay. That way, when I go to take pictures of the new garden, I will have space to do that. All right. So let me actually show you right now how you can do that. So if I go up here to my insert menu, okay, and it comes up to insert, and I can either do pictures that I've taken with my camera, or I can open up my camera directly here. And it says, you can see here that my camera now is on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it sideways, and I am going to simply take a quick photograph of this plant. Okay, so there's our photograph, and it says, you know, if I want to, I can crop it and edit it here. I don't really need to do that. I just want to designate, you know, what the plant looked like when we first put it in. I can then say done, and you see that it will add it to the page that we were working on. So I can go in here and make this a little bit smaller, and I can move it up. And let me just quickly get rid of these other pictures that are here. I'm going to use my lasso tool and draw a circle around all of that. And we'll delete that whole thing. Okay, so now you see how easy it is to put photographs in there. What I am going to do also is I'm going to go around and collect all of these plant tags, because I want to collect those and store them in this section so that I know exactly what plants were planted here. Okay. All right, I want to show you just a little bit of the drawing process for what the garden actually looks like. So normally what I do is I go into the draw feature. Again, here I have the grid pattern up, and I, you know, don't always draw to scale for things, but I like to get things as close as possible. I'm going to choose gray for the side of the house, and this side of my house is about it's about 20-25 feet long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line to represent the house. Okay. Okay. So this line right here really represents the house, and I can even label that if I would like. Okay. And then from the side of the house, what I want to do is I'm saying that each of my grids is about 2 feet. Okay. So then what I can do is I can come out here from the side of the house, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and right here is plant number 1, and that is this Japanese bloodgood maple. Okay, so what I can do is label that there, the Japanese bloodgood maple. Then I can come back up here to my list, and I can write Japanese bloodgood maple, or I can dictate. Or if you don't know the scribble feature, which is kind of cool, using the Apple Pencil, I can go in here and I can write, and it will convert it to text. like so, which I think is pretty cool because I like the handwriting feature, but I like the way the text looks. So I think that's a good choice there to be able to do that. Okay. All right. So now that I have that plant in, I have the Japanese bloodgood maple, and then down near the other end, the other corner of the house, I have that beauty bush. So I'm going to come out, and it is pretty much in line with this. So I'm going to go ahead and add that down here as plant number 2, and then there's a smaller one just like it on the corner right there. And again, I will go back up and I will add these in my, they are American Beauty Bush. Okay, so again, you know, handwriting it and then having it convert to text, I think is great. Okay. All right, so that's kind of how the garden is laid out. Also, you know, a couple of other things here. Let me just change colors for a little bit. We'll go to black, right like in the middle of the house. You know, they all have to do this, is, you know, the 2 air conditioning units. So the air conditioning units are there. All right, and we have a little stone walkway. It is not a stone walkway. We have a little raised bed edging that kind of comes along here and encompasses the edge of where the air conditioning units are. And like I said, there's daffodils and irises and daylilies and that kind of thing planted there. So I'm just kind of designating that as that little walkway or edging that comes around there. And then it goes way out away from the house in this direction because that's where we get back around to the front garden, and we have some big holly trees here. Okay, so there we go. All right. Okay, so you can see how it's really helpful to be able to have this out here so that I can look and measure and draw and keep track of all of that stuff. I can take photographs of what the garden is looking like. And, you know, I just think it's a wonderful thing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around and collect the tags from the trees so that I can take those and add them to my plant pages. And, you know, I'll let you see how that works as well, okay? Because you can scan from here and add that information into OneNote. All right, so let's go do that. Pardon the pollen, it is springtime. All right, in this segment, what I want to do is I want to show you how I scan these tags into my OneNote notebook with my iPad. That way I don't have to keep the tags, and I have that information with me. For example, if I love this particular bush and I decide that I want to put some more in the backyard, when I am at the garden center, I simply can open my OneNote, take a look at this tag that I have from the ones that I bought this year, and know exactly what the species is, okay? All right, so let's do that. What I want to do is, usually I add a new page. So I'm going to start the screen record again so that you can see the whole process. Okay, so I'm going back into OneNote. You can see this is the table that we started filling out, and the started of the sketch that I was doing on the side, and we also added some photographs. But what I like to do is I like to add additional pages, and I like to call them the title of the plants that are in that area. So on this page here, I am going to, I can bring up the keyboard. I can either use my Apple Pencil or I can use my finger to type Japanese maple, and the variety name is Bloodgood. Okay, and then what I like to do is I, again, like to insert a photograph. So I'm going to go to the camera here, and you can see that it comes up and it says photo, document, or whiteboard. Let's try, we did photo already. Let's try document. Okay, and what I can do is hold up the camera. It's very bright out here today, so it's a little difficult to see. Get it lined up. And then it's going to show me a picture. And you see the little arrows around it, so I can, expand that if I want. I can say, no, I want to include, that part of my table or not. The good thing about document is it kind of scans it and gets it right in the space that you want. Then I can say confirm, and now I am done, and that will go right in to my page for that. Now let's do the back, because I like to keep track of that as well. So again, I will turn this over just a document for you. I will go to insert, and I want to go to camera, and I'm going to go down to document. Again, I'm going to scan that information and kind of make sure that it's good. And it's going to come up, and again, you see that it gives me that line. I can crop it or not. I'm going to confirm that that's what I want, and then I am done. And again, that will put that right next to the Japanese bloodgood maple. Now I can also do the same thing for the common viburnum. Common snowball viburnum. If you can use the dictate feature and you're sitting in the middle of the woods by yourself, why not, right? All right, now let's add that picture. So again, we're going to go to document this time. We're going to get it lined up on the table like that. And you know what? For this one, I'm going to even go down and include the amount that I paid for that. So I can crop or edit that the way that I want. Confirm, that looks good. We'll add that one, and let's flip it over and go to the back. So go over here, add a space, insert camera, go to document. I think you guys are getting the idea. And again, pardon the pollen on my table. It is springtime. There we go. And that gives me all the planting instructions, the watering, all of that kind of stuff. Confirm that. And there you go. Okay, so now in my new West Garden section, I have my complete plant list that we made while we were actually in the garden. And I will go back and finish these diagrams, adding the rest of the plants and that kind of thing, taking a few more photos as I'm walking around. And I'm going to move that page to the top because I like that plant list. It's kind of like an overview of the page. And then I can get down to the individual pages here that have the information about the bloodgood maple. And again, if I want to put that picture in there, I can go to my pictures. And I can find that picture that I just took when we were over in the garden, and I can insert that there. Okay, so you see that one. All right, so now we not only have the tag, we have the picture of the plant when it went in, and then we can watch it develop and grow as things change, okay? All right, so again, you guys have been asking about how I use my iPad and my Apple Pencil or my phone when I am, out and about doing things in the garden. And this is, I think, a perfect example. We just planted this garden this past weekend, and what better time to document it? Now, as I'm sitting here at this table looking out behind the camera is the bird garden, and I also need to finish documenting the bird garden that I started last year just by putting a crepe myrtle and a couple of roses in it. I have been adding to it through the fall, and in the spring the birds seem to love it, so I need to get that one documented as well. As you can tell, my yard is full of birds. We even have some eastern bluebirds that have made a little nest in one of the trees here nearby. So I've been enjoying watching them coming and going from their little nest. So we'll see, maybe we'll have little bluebirds here in a little while. So I wanted to show you a few more things around the garden that I promised, like the maybe a couple of shots of the bird garden and the viburnum out front. Okay, so here we go. All right, so as you can see here in my bird garden, I have this beautiful coral crepe myrtle, which I think is great. We planted that there last year. And in the background, you can see some phlox. I have vinca as a ground cover. There's a miniature rose back there. This rose here in the foreground is a knockout rose that is getting ready to bloom. It may end up being bigger than I thought, but that's okay. And then as you scroll across, you can also see that I have some irises that are getting ready to bloom, and all of that kind of thing. There are lots of birds out here, and they just love this garden. Let me show you a few other things. This is a new rose that I just bought this year. This is one thing that I need to update to this garden. I think it actually has two different roses grafted together, but I bought it for this beautiful purple that you see there. And there is a little evergreen that was bought a couple of years ago that I'm just kind of nurturing along, and some small crepe myrtles, again, cuttings that I've made that I'm just trying to nurture along. So really, I've planted some daffodils, and I've planted some daylilies and some iris, and, a little bit of everything in this garden just to make it attractive for the birds. I think they're going to love it. Let's see what else we can find in the garden today. This coral bells is always beautiful, and I love the contrast between the color of the coral bells or heuchera and the ground cover that we have here. This is one of the other varieties of the viburnum that I have here in my garden. This one I believe is a Shasta Viburnum, and it is spectacular. I love the flowers that it gets every spring. I love that they grow, horizontally on the branches like this. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. These plants are about 20 years old, and the ones that you saw that we're planting on the west garden are brand new plants that we just put in last weekend. So they have a few years to grow, but I think that pretty soon they'll be a nice, beautiful accent along the edge of the woods, much like these are. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Remember to give this video a like if you learned something new or you liked anything that you saw here today. And think about subscribing if you have not already. And until next time, here's hoping that you can live a more simplified and organized life through better planning. I use OneNote. All right, until next time. Okay, bye.